Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Brothers Take podcast. I'm Chris. I am joined once again by my brothers, Adam
Hello.
and Eric.
Hello.
And we are back in the room to talk more video games. And we are well over the halfway point for 2023 this year. So many games have already come out, but there's loads more to come. And what we've decided to do for this week's episode is to do a sort of 2023 in review so far. I mean, we can't talk about everything, but what we can do is look back at the very first episode of 2023, where we each gave our 5 most anticipated games for the year at that time, and talk about those games if they've come out, and if we've played them, we can actually give our thoughts on those games so far. And then also for the ones that haven't come out yet, are we still highly anticipating them? What do we think about them going forward? And then for the rest of the year, are there any games that are now kind of in our top radar since we've gone well beyond what we knew about at the start of the year? We'd love to hear from you guys too, whether it's you sharing your experiences of the games that we bring up, or if there's any other games that we don't talk about that have already come out this year that you want to gush about and tell us all about, or any games coming up later in the year that you're highly anticipating. We'd love to hear from you. So if you're watching this YouTube, jump down in the comments, share your thoughts. If you enjoyed this one, give us a thumbs up, hit subscribe, ring that notification bell for all future content. And to those of you who are listening to us on audio platforms, you can also touch base on Facebook, Instagram, and what are we calling it? Has anyone decided yet?
I don't know. I refuse to change the logo.
Yeah, you can't make Twixter. I actually kind of like that. You can contact us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twixter at The Brothers Take to give us your take on 2023 in gaming so far. But without further ado, let's talk gaming. Alright. Let's take us all the way back to the start of the year. The year looked different. There's a couple of games that we all had in common. So we should probably talk about those first, and then we can divert into the ones that we each had kind of differently, right? So one of the games that was in all of our lists at the start of the year, one of our most anticipated games of the year, was Resident Evil 4 Remake, which has been out, and we have done a spoiler cast on it in 3 parts. You can go back and check that out. But in review, and in non-spoiler fashion here, Eric, Resident Evil 4 Remake, did it deserve to be in your top 5? Did it live up to the hype? What do you think?
Absolutely. What a game.
Yeah.
Resident Evil, for the last couple of years now, they just have not really disappointed, I don't think. I think the most recent one that's kind of been a bit of a letdown was Resident Evil 3 Remake. But that's just because it's a bit on the short side, and replayability then is meh, but still pretty damn good. And Resident Evil 4 Remake is just class. Just they really improved how to play the game. And just the fluidity of moving around and stuff, and just made it very nice and tidy, while also being very on edge. All the edges.
Very on edge, yeah. Adam, anything you want to say about Resident Evil 4 Remake? I know you haven't actually finished it because you got sidetracked by other things, and then, yeah, it falls on the long finger then. But from what you did play,
Excellent game. Definitely deserves to be on the list. Probably the best game I played this year.
yeah, so far, my game of the year.
Yeah, I'd be very shocked if this doesn't. This will surely be in the game of the year category, I'd imagine.
I'll be shocked if it's not.
Yeah, I'd be very surprised if it's not.
Yeah.
I'll be.
Eric, what do you think? Would you be shocked, or would you be like, yeah, you know what, the competition though this year is tough, so...
Yeah, you see, the thing is, I feel like
What's
there's
its
so many
competition
games
so
out
far?
this. Well, I suppose it's got Hogwarts Legacy. It's got obviously itself, but it's not going up against self. Jedi Survivor.
Yeah, it might
Tears
not
of
win
the
against
Kingdom.
itself. I think itself might win.
Yeah, itself might do pretty good. You got Tears of the Kingdom. You got Final Fantasy 16. You got Spiderman 2. You got Baldur's Gate 3, which is getting fucking raving reviews.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's got
Diablo 4 did really well. Street Fighter 6 did really well.
Dead Space.
Dead Space did really well. We've yet to see what Alan Wake 2 does, Mortal Kombat 1,
That title's so confusing.
Starfield. We've yet to
Starfield.
see how that's going to
I don't know.
perform.
I still think out of
tough
all
one.
of them, it'll be in there. I can't see Hogwarts Legacy being in there. Actually,
I don't think it'll get a nomination for Game of the Year. No.
I think it'll be some of the others titles that you mentioned for sure. I think it will be a toss up between Ori 4 and Dead Space to make that spot. And I hope it's Resident Evil.
I predict that Resident
Right.
Evil 4 Remake will be in the... Let's say it's 6. I don't know. It's either 5 or 6
Right.
Games of the Year nominated for the Game Awards. I think Resident Evil 4 Remake will be in there and Dead Space will not.
Dead Space will be in like best horror category.
And they're going to make a best horror category this year. Come on, you can do it. There deserves to be one. There's
But the best
enough
horror games
competition
this year, yeah.
Yeah, there's enough competition that they could do it,
Yeah.
and it would be fair.
Yeah,
But,
Resident Evil 4, it's absolutely, it's just it is a really, really great game. I think they've improved on pretty much everything, and there's a lot more to do in it too. It's a longer game, isn't it, than the original? Or at least it feels like.
No.
I don't know if it is. No, I don't know
it's
if
not
it is.
longer than the original. The original, because the original has 3 acts for chapter 1, 4 acts for chapter 2, 4 acts for chapter 3, and 4 acts for chapter 4, with 3 acts for chapter 5 then. So there's like a shit ton of stuff left out of the game.
Yeah, I mean the castle is really long in the original.
Yeah, it is. But I felt
And
like
it's
that
definitely
village
more
sequence,
streamlined in
the village sequence is longer than in the remake.
They've definitely expanded, I think, on the village more so because they've given you optional things to do.
Yeah,
in the village,
like the lake.
Yeah, and because they know they're like the village is the most iconic part of this game. So let's spend a bit longer here because actually it's a shame to leave it so soon.
Yeah.
Yes, I think I don't know if it's they made longer or it's just like, yes, they added in like the side quests and stuff like that in the game. But I think it's also the going back and forth and stuff like that is kind of what makes that area longer rather than it actually being longer.
Yeah.
If you get what I mean.
I think what it is the village feels longer because it takes longer to get to Ashley now than it felt like in the original.
Yeah.
I think.
I'm just looking at stats here and like
they're probably the same.
Yeah,
right?
they're the same.
There you go. There you go, everyone. Why are we theorizing when we could just find out?
Wait,
okay,
do you mean the village is the same length or the whole game
the whole
is the
game's
same
length?
Okay.
It's just like if you want to like 100% the whole thing, it'll obviously take a long time. But just to do the main game, main mission, same length.
Oh, there you go. Before we move on to the next game, then, a question I'd like to ask: is Resident Evil 4 Remake better than the original? Why are you asking us this?
I was
this.
talking about this during the week with my friends. I was like, there's aspects
with
to
who?
Resident Evil 4 the original. Like I love there's a lot more cheesiness in it. For sure. Like he is way cheesier in the original.
Sure.
And I love that aspect of that. I think that's great. Because there's parts of this Leon that he is a bit, I don't know, he does lack a little bit of character, I think. And so do some of the bosses. Like some of the aspects are way better in the remake, but in the original, I felt like the Big Cheese was a lot more. There was a lot more presence from him. I felt like Salazar is certainly much more realistic, I think, in the remake. But he's such a character in the original.
Yeah. He's gas.
It's hard for me to say. I think they're both really, really great and wonderful experiences, and I think people should try both of them.
Oh, yeah, but that's not what I asked you. You fucking dodged the question there, didn't you?
Politician answer there.
Yeah, no comment kind of shit.
Okay, I'll give you an answer. The Wii version is the superior version.
The Wii version of the original game is the best version of Resident Evil 4. Love it. Okay, Eric, What do you think?
I have not played every version of Resident Evil 4, so I don't know if I
It's
can.
okay, but I didn't ask you that. I just asked
the
is
iPod
the
Touch version.
I just asked you is the remake better than the original.
Or the
That's all I
PlayStation
asked.
VR. I haven't played the VR version either.
That's fine. You don't have to
love
factor in every other version. That's okay.
No, I do. It's like Skyrim,
Trying
you
to
know.
dodge the question here.
With
That's
Skyrim, you
how
have to
change it.
factor in
I
all
see
of
what's
them.
going on here. I'm not. I like
See,
where you're
I'm on the
going
same
with this.
page. I'm on the same page with Adam. It's like
Yeah, yeah.
I playing the
Yeah.
remake and kind of being like, oh,
Yeah.
I can't wait for these cheesy lines in the game,
Yeah.
and especially with Salazar, and they like fucking 80% of the cheesy lines are gone. I was like, oh, that sucks.
Mm-hmm.
So, to play Resident Evil 4 Remake is funner to play based on just the fact that it's more updated on all of its gameplay and stuff.
Yeah.
But to watch and talk about, like with fun times and stuff, just because of the ridiculous, cheesy action hero vibes, the original will be better in that regard.
Yes. Okay, so
Gotta
another
wait.
political answer. You're not really giving me an answer. I'm gonna say I think the remake is better than the original. I think there's aspects, obviously, of the original that are better than the remake. I don't think everything the remake does is better, but as an overall package, I think the remake is a better game. However, that does not take away from the fact or the importance of the original game. And the original game ran so that the remake could fucking leap. You know what I mean?
Yeah, okay.
The remake doesn't exist without the original.
Sure.
So,
But if you were making a list of
yeah,
like the best games of all time, right?
Yeah.
Does that mean you would put that, like, because I would probably put Resident Evil 4 in that list?
Sure.
Does that mean you're going to put the remake in that list over?
Yeah, I probably would.
But does the remake of Resident Evil 4 deserve to be in the list of, let's say, top 10 greatest games of all time?
Top 10? No, but I don't think I'd put the original Resident Evil 4 in the top 10.
All right.
Personally.
I probably would.
Yeah. At one point I would have, but there are games that have come out in the past however many years that I think for me have replaced it. So, yeah. But that's like, as well, you have to get, it's hard not to be just nostalgic, you know what I mean? And it can be very hard to get really objective with something that you have such like fond childhood memories with. And like Resident Evil 4 original is one of those games. But if you told me to go play one of them now, I'd throw on the remake first. So that's
I'd
kind
slap
of
on the original,
where I'm
I
at.
think.
Yeah. Well, the intro is so good in the original, isn't it? You know.
Yeah, I think I just like the arcadiness of it. I think.
Yeah, I get you.
Obviously,
I get
2
you.
and 4, the remakes, they're really great at setting that horror. Like they've definitely made those games scary. But though I think 2, the original, was scary anyway. But they've really, you know, modernized them, made them scary. The tone of them and the atmosphere. But yeah, if I was just to decide to slap one on, I think I would prefer the arcade version, and I would be putting on the original, I think.
What's amazing is we live in a world where we have both.
Yeah.
But yeah. Okay, another game that was in all of our top 5 lists, but is not actually coming out this year. So
No.
we will have to wait till early next year, which we theorized anyway. But Final Fantasy VII Rebirth was one of the games we were highly anticipating. We have had more news on it. Obviously, we know it's coming early next year. We did get a trailer on it. And what is exciting, I think, or what I am anticipating for the rest of the year, is that it shouldn't be long before we start getting more marketing around that game. Especially like Tokyo Game Show, it could really show up there, I think. And because Jeff Keighley got to show at Summer Game Fest, probably at the Game Awards.
Oh shit! And that's when the demo will drop.
No.
Will we get a demo, do you think?
Yes.
We might.
I
Yeah,
think so.
yeah.
Yeah, I probably will get a demo. Yeah.
What would be a good demo for 7 Rebirth?
Same
whole
length as
game.
16. Just give us the entire beginning to let you
Yeah.
carry over. Why not?
They could do
They've
that.
just done it. They've done
could
it.
do that.
So
I feel like they're more likely though to just give you the section. I don't think they want everyone to see the intro, and I think they'll give us like a section in the Greenlands with Red 13. Like,
The
I think
swamp
we'll
section
get to-
Or what
Swamp
if there's
section
a
with
demo that's like a bridge between the games? It's not actually like in the second part.
I prefer where Eric was going with this. What you're saying is just hanging out in Calm or something. I don't know, or on your way to Calm. Is that what you're saying?
Doesn't have to be. It could be
back on his way back in the Midgar.
sequence. It could be another character, and we're getting their side of it. It could be parts that they won't be able to fit necessarily in Rebirth, the main story of it. But it's definitely something that happened in Final Fantasy VII.
That sounds more like a DLC and less like a demo.
Well, it would kind of introduce the gameplay anyway. I'm really curious to see whether or not there's any form of carryover from the OG game.
As in remake or
No,
the
no
OG
remake.
game?
Yeah, so like the
Sorry.
stuff you have, does it carry over? Like, how are they going to do that, or how do you start again? Like, I'm really curious to see how they make that work.
Do you think they will, Eric? Will anything carry over? Or will they just?
If they are, yeah, like I think I could see the stuff carrying over, so you have to collect all the summons again, or any of the weapons and swords. But you'd probably start on level 1 again. That makes sense, and then build up to level 50 again.
It would feel
So
like
they
a bit
might
of a
drop
cop-out,
your
though,
le-
wouldn't it?
Well, what are they like? How far do you level up in this one? Do you level up to 100, and then the third one's 150?
Yeah, they could do that. They could do that.
I suppose, yeah.
I feel like this has been answered a long time ago. I think whoever commented that Yuffie is going to steal your stuff is exactly how you introduce that character and get out of that problem.
Yeah, no.
What you do for the third one, I have no idea. But
I would do that too. But it
actually-
is the levels thing, right? It's like it just feels a bit, like God of War 2 did a really good job at like setting you back down to level 1 again. But God of War 3 felt like a cop out.
I get you. But okay, I guess as well that becomes only a momentary annoyance because you go, that sucks, but then you quickly just start playing the game and you get over it and you. But I get you. Like there could be that moment of what? Come on, I put in all that work. You kidding me?
Yeah,
but
I guess.
But it is a sequel, so it's gonna have to bring you back a bit.
Yeah, well, it's. I think is this the first time we've ever encountered something like this? Like,
No.
yes, it's a sequel, but it didn't have to have been a sequel if they just continued.
It didn't have to be, no.
So it is just like a continuation of the game. They just so happen to have to put it into a next part.
Yeah.
The only other game that kind of comes close to it in my mind is Ragnarok, which is a sequel, but there's an element of continuation, and they managed to maintain some of the things that you had already and continue development, but it didn't feel jarring.
I reckon they will do. I don't know what way they'll level it, but I reckon some of the later abilities that you learned will be standard abilities this time around. So you will have access to more abilities in the beginning with your ATB bar.
Yeah, but the part that
and
gets
that'll
me
feel
wondering-
like it's like, oh, that's progress from my last adventure. You know?
Yeah, for players who did 100% of everything, that will just feel like, oh, thank fuck, because I put so much into it and I have these abilities again. But players who just got through it and never got any of the extra abilities, would that just feel weird all of a sudden? That just their normal attacks now are like beyond anything they've seen before.
Not really. It would just be like, this game's amazing.
Yeah.
They wouldn't have that feel because they wouldn't know that it wasn't there. You know what I mean? They would just be like, oh, that's cool. You have these different attacks. I like that one, so I'm going to spam that one. Mm-hmm. It wouldn't feel... You would know no different.
I don't know. You might be like, where the hell did that come from?
Who the hell's that guy?
Yeah.
And then you remember that part of the title is the word fantasy. So you go, oh, I should probably stop trying to question the logistics of this and just go on an adventure.
No.
Always question the
Always.
logistics of
It
fantasy.
has to make sense. It has to make
It has
sense.
to make sense.
Yeah.
For me to believe it, it has to make sense.
Are we still highly anticipating 7 Rebirth, or are we like...
Nah, falling off now. They couldn't give a fuck.
Yeah.
The minute
Totally.
they said it was 2024, that's the shit. Yeah.
2 discs? What?
Yeah, I look at it, I don't like to think about it too much because I'll lose sleep.
Yeah,
But
that's a problem for next year.
yeah, and it's already something to look forward to next year. It's like
Yeah.
great, most anticipated game of 2024, Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth. It is kind of cool that now we have information that Ever Crisis is releasing on September 7th. So
Mhm.
there's another bit of Final
Is
Fantasy
it
7
September
to play
7th?
along the way.
September 7th, so I will get that and play that while I'm in Portugal.
It says
Excellent.
30th on.
Is this in different countries?
It could be
I
different
saw
countries.
September 7th. Fuck.
Could be
Don't
different
tell
countries.
me this. Don't tell me this.
September 7th on Mars, but September 30th on Venus. Ah,
Our fucking post was a lie.
ah.
Let's have
Adam,
a quick look.
verify the
Yeah, I'll have a
information.
quick look. Expected 30th of September 2023. You know what though? That could be maybe
That was
they haven't.
expected.
Yeah,
When was that?
They might have not. What?
When was that posted?
I'm looking at it on the App Store.
Oh, because literally Final Fantasy VII's Final Fantasy VII Remake social media page is released today at time of recording. That it's releasing on the 7th of September.
I wonder.
Oh.
Yeah, maybe either it is a regional thing or the
Hasn't
the
updated
product
yet?
page mightn't have been updated yet.
Yeah. Sounds likely. Yeah, there's a post here 1 hour ago at time of recording. Mark your calendars. Final Fantasy VII Ever Crisis launches on iOS and Android on September 7th.
Cool.
So there we go.
Yeah, I've
Something to
heard
look forward
I've
to.
heard really mixed things from the beta players.
All right, yeah.
Have you heard anything? No.
Not really. I didn't look into it because I was like, you know what? If it's free to play in the beginning, I'm just going to download it and play it
Hmm.
and see what I think. I'm not too invested in it anyway. Like, if they said that wasn't coming out again till next year,
It was something that I was,
you know,
really.
I
looking
was excited, but
Yeah, I
I've
was
lost the
looking forward
excitement
to
for it.
I've lost excitement for just purely based on what I've heard about it, and
Okay.
that's really disappointing. I would have paid whatever full price to get access to whatever this thing is, but anything that goes free to play, you're always going to get.
Yeah, there's
over one way or
caveats to
another.
that, right? There's caveats to that.
Mm-hmm.
See, that's what makes Infinity Blade so good. It wasn't
There
free
you
to
go.
play. You had to pay for it, and you got everything.
Best game ever.
Best-
Totally.
That's
You know, the world's missing out. Really, they're missing out.
They are. They are. Bring it back. Remake it.
Well, Eric, interesting enough, and one of the biggest games of the year, and one that I think we all know is 100% going to be in the Game of the Year nominees. It was in Eric's top 5 most anticipated games of the year, and he hasn't gotten it, and only Adam has actually gotten it out of the three
That's
of
true.
us.
That's true.
And that
I'm
is
excited
and
for
it
your-
wasn't one of Adam's top
I'm
5.
excited for one of your anticipated games.
Yeah, The Legend of Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom. So what I want to ask, Eric, since at the beginning of the year it was so highly anticipated, did your anticipation drop for this game as it went on, or what's the story there?
Yeah, what's your deal, man?
Yeah, like level with us, you know?
I sort of, as the year kind of went on, and
Lost
even
my
within-
mind.
Yes.
I
I did. It just became a clusterfuck of a year. I kind of forgot the game was coming out. So top top 5 most. Yeah, I forgot when it was coming out. And
Yeah.
so then it was out, and I was like, all right.
Your anticipation levels definitely dropped for it then.
My anticipation levels have, I think, dropped for like everything. But I think I was in the middle of playing like 16 or something like that, and I was like, I can't get another big game just at the moment. I'll
But
finish
it
up
came
with
out
16.
like a month before, 2 months before, no?
Was it? Oh no, was
It was soon. It was. There was fucking lots of games
Yeah, it would have
that
been
released
something else. For
all
sure.
the time. So it could have been
Well, that
Jedi
was-
Survivor. It could have
Probably
been. It could
Jedi
have been
Survivor,
anything.
actually, yeah.
okay. All right. Well, then I was playing Jedi
but
Survivor,
yeah.
and I was thinking, right, I'll get through this, and then I'll get Tears of the Kingdom, and then
Yeah.
that game just kind of went on and on and on, and then by the time that was done, I was, I need a break from gaming. And so that's kind of how I didn't get it. And then 16 came out, and I played that, and I started playing that for a long time. But by the time that was done, I was like, oh fuck, I need a break from gaming. So I think that's what sort of threw me off from getting Tears of the Kingdom, because I know that's
Fair.
a huge game that will just need all my processing power. and I just don't have the processing power at the moment for it. So I will
Yeah.
get it. Well, I'll get it when I get it.
Right. It's like that needs to wait till there's a really dull year for games.
Yeah, next year after I'm done with Rebirth.
All right. Perfect. Unless 2024 throws us another fucking buckload of who
Yeah,
God
don't.
knows what, Please, I can't take anymore. Slow down.
I love games, but come on.
I love Lamp. Adam, as the only of us who actually got the game.
Oh, it's great.
You have been enjoying it, right?
Yeah, I haven't really done much of the main story, but I've kind of there's all these towers basically to make the map available. I've done all of them, so I have all the regions available. I've done a good few shrines in each region too, and the reason I've done that was, one, the thing I was looking forward to the most is just revisiting some of the familiar areas and familiar characters, see where they're at and that kind of stuff. And two, I tend to like to do that in kind of open world games anyway, because when missions come about and I need to go to a certain place, I have a quick point of access to travel to it.
Right. Okay.
So now I have like the whole map cleared. So
Wow.
now I can kind of get along with the main story.
That's fair. I tend to do that stuff on my way to that mission.
Yeah, I find that I would tend to get sidetracked from the main story, and sometimes what happens then, you're like, what the hell was I even supposed to do?
Yeah.
I like to just focus on the main quest. But the great thing about Zelda is that you can completely avoid enemies, so like if you see something that's like, oh, that looks tough, which I did. There's this thing that looks like what do you call it, Ghidorah, is that what it's called, from Godzilla?
Oh yeah.
There's like one of them, and it's like it shoots like lightning out of its three heads. Like, it is basically it, actually.
Actually, now that I mention it, it is Ghidorah, actually.
And it was protecting some sort of bridge, but that wasn't the only one. There was a couple around the place, so there's definitely new kind of enemies, new challenges to beat in certain areas. But you're able to just like kind of sneak past them or whatever. Like, the biggest challenge I had was trying to get to certain areas without the right equipment. So there's certain shrines that would be in places that's like really, really cold, and I didn't have equipment to protect against the cold. So instead, and I'm not sure where you get them either. I think there was one, but I didn't have enough money for it. So instead, what I did was I made, because you can cook food, and if you use certain spices, you can increase your body heat. So that way, it gives you a certain amount of time that you can go around these cold places. And then I have that thing that allows you to kind of teleport up through like walls and stuff. So I've been using like those to try and get to these areas. And once you get into a tower, it shoots you up into the sky. So then you can glide and you go to your next one. That was super quick. It was awesome.
It's actually like the
very
game
inconvenience.
is very much kind of like how Red Dead 2 should be, in that there's an element of realism of survival, but it's not so
it's gamey,
ridiculously realistic. Yeah. So you get a bunch of stuff, you go up to the cooking pot and you go pop, 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 they're all popping up, and then and you got it, right? Well, in Red Dead 2, as amazingly well crafted that game is, it is very just like sort of ridiculously realistic.
Yeah,
you have to turn the steak every 10 minutes or so.
Yeah, you do. Otherwise, it gets
heat.
burnt, and then
the weapon fusing in the game is unbelievable. Like, being able to, there would have been some areas where you're like, oh shit, I don't have the thing to get through this these boulders. Oh, luckily I picked up a plant that turns into a bomb, attached to an arrow, fire it at the rock, and boom.
Yeah, the sandboxing.
There's botany for you kids.
Yeah. Must be right, crack. The kind of sandbox exploration aspect of it.
Yeah, there's some like there's really wild stuff in it. Like, I mean, it was in the first one too, where if you set enough like kind of grass or leaves or whatever on fire, sometimes what will happen is it'll start to, like, the fire will start to rage, and it will create a kind of a updraft of heat, and then if you jump above that and equip your glider, it'll send you up into the air and stuff. Like, so there's some really clever stuff in it. Like, I mean, I've seen people online build like Optimus Prime in it. Like, it's just
I've seen that.
Other people build tanks. It's like
yeah. Just bizarre things.
So it's one of those games where, like, look, I don't know if the story is good. Zelda's not one of those games that you play for the story, because it's normally the same thing over and over again. But just to pick up and go, oh, I just want to arse around for a bit, like, you know,
I
old
think
school days, like San Andreas, you know.
I think I've seen a video where someone built some like bird glider thing, and they had like his what are the guys called? They're kind of like they got like a turtle shell. They live in the volcano area.
Oh,
What are
the
they called?
Gorons?
Gorons. I think it was a G. So he had one of them on his glider, and he was kind of like going into each of the wings to kind of control which way it was going, and you go to the head, and he started to make it kind of glide down with the contours of the hill and stuff. And it was really impressive. And then all of a sudden, this goose just came out of nowhere and just knocked into him and took the whole thing out of it. And I was like, all right, well, that's Legend of Zelda for you. Some random shit that happens.
So, yeah, I mean, if you've got a shit ton to play, wouldn't recommend it. If you've got none to play, highly recommend it. You will sink so many hours into it.
I think it's a bit of a shame of all the years that it came out this year, but only because it'll make this year's Game of the Year discussion would be far more interesting without Tears of the Kingdom. There'd be far more, no, it's definitely this game. No, it's gotta be this game, and like more camps. Whereas I think it's like, well, it's Tears of the Kingdom, so
yeah. Unfortunately,
yeah.
If that
it's already won it, you know.
If that ends up in that list, it's purely out of obligation and some sort of weird gamer's bias. It's really,
but it is
really
a well-made game, though, right?
It is well made, but like, I wouldn't say it's like the best game of the year. Definitely not.
Okay, but then, yeah, but I mean, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying everyone would think that, right? That it's the best game of the year, but like, we kind of know what way these things go at this point. I feel like that's already written in fate.
It'll surely win best action adventure, probably.
Ooh, I don't know about that one now. That's different. I don't know. Like Spiderman 2 could, you know, or we'll have to see how the year goes. But anyway, well, another game that was in both mine and Adam's list, but actually not in your list, Eric, at the beginning of the year, was Hogwarts Legacy, which we have all played. I cleared. I don't think either of you cleared it.
Nope.
So there is a non-spoiler review of Hogwarts Legacy on our podcast if you want to go and check that out. But our thoughts of that game since?
I really enjoyed it.
Excellent. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's like it's the Wizarding world through and through. I think it plays into it very well. It's
rip off the stop being so nice, Eric. Get to it. Come on. Just be like, fucking hated that game. Fucking piece of shit.
No, like it wasn't for me.
Sure, yeah.
But that's no different than, I suppose, like the Arkham games. Some people might prefer Spider-Man to the Arkham games because it's just more for them. You know what I mean? But like either you're playing Spider-Man or you're playing Batman.
So
like,
is it just
them perfectly done it well?
Is it just the like that universe? No matter what they do with it, like you have no buy into that, or is it like from a gameplay standpoint? Is what true you of?
Yes.
Cool. I'm hoping to get back to it at some point.
Yeah.
I did see someone made a good point, I thought, where it's like, yeah, that's a fair thing, which is to do with like a lot of the spells and things you have, which is if they do a sequel, what the hell do they add in? Because you kind of get everything.
Oh, I have no idea how you do a sequel to this game, which is why I think when we were discussing it before, nuts. I was like, honestly, do a couple of DLCs, expand on what you have, and then move on to a whole different game, because I don't think you can make a Hogwarts Legacy 2. I don't know. Like, maybe make an expansion called Year 6, where it gives you a whole new story to play in the same map, and it's like, you're now a 6th year, or, you know, whatever, and follow that on with a Year 7, but it's not actually a new package. Like, it's a big Witcher-style DLC with a whole new side quest. You know, but I don't know how you.
Would you not be like a whole new character coming to Hogwarts?
But like, how could you resell? Like, people will fucking lose their shit if you resell that same school and that same map.
Would they?
Yeah, you go everywhere. Like, what could they? You know what I mean? You go everywhere in that school.
The only thing they could do is keep the title Legacy, but change the name of the school and just go to a new location.
Go to a new school, or do like now you're older and you're part of the Ministry of Magic and you're visiting other locations within the Wizarding
Well, I
World.
suppose then maybe you're down in England then, and then another one you can be in Wales or Ireland or something. I don't know.
I don't know. I think it's going to be nearly impossible to
Surely
make
there's
a full
games
sequel
where
to
you
the
get the
game.
exact same map and it's a sequel and you get to explore all of it, but there's just a few additional things. I may have just discussed it.
God of War Ragnarok or Tears of the Kingdom, you mean?
It can be done.
It can be. Actually, you know what? You're not wrong. It can be done.
But that's it. What they need to do for Legacy is to be able to make your own Optimus Prime and then be able to morph weapons together.
Yeah.
Turn to bomb arrows.
Well, the thing I like about the thing I like about Hogwarts Legacy is the exploration, and there's certain things
Yes.
that could be added into it to make it a much more complete Hogwarts experience, and that is like actually like they could go down the sim route, and that could actually work. This is definitely much more action adventure oriented, but actually simulating things like what is it like to attend Hogwarts, which I
Sure.
think that was some of the things that some people were a little bit disappointed with. There's also the Quidditch. Like there's lots of things that were left out that they could implement here in the exact same map.
Bullies.
Yeah.
Bullies,
Everyone
yeah,
bullies.
so you
Remember
can
that?
become
Remember
one.
that? Yeah, you could go become a bully, or you could, the karma system actually would be really cool in it.
Yeah,
But-
like a renegade and paragon,
Yeah.
kind of thing.
Yeah.
Because I think that's what I was saying. Like at the start of the game, I was like, everyone is just too nice. It's freaking me out.
Yeah,
Like it freaked me out how nice everyone was. It was just
I-
like,
It's interesting that obviously the game has to, because of the way like Hogwarts and the mythology works, like it has to sort you into a house in the beginning, but it's a shame that you don't actually have a thing where you're not sorted for whatever reason, and you make various choices throughout the game, and based on the choices you made at the end of the game, the sorting hat will sort you into which house you really are. Or like you were sorted, but the sorting hat at the end will resort you based on the choices you made. It's like you're really do you know what I mean? Like, because in it,
really
It-
just a shit.
well, it wanted to put Harry into Slytherin.
Yeah.
It was like, I'm sensing a bit of a Slytherin. But Harry was like, he wanted Gryffindor, so he got it.
Mhm.
You know, so it's like, and he had a conversation with the hat later, and the hat was like, I still think you would have been a good Slytherin, you know. So that could have been a thing where every so often you talk to the sorting hat, and it's like, I've seen some of the choices you've been making. I think you're a bit of a, and at the very end, you kind of get you're really a Hufflepuff or whatever.
I think a nice
I don't
thing as well would be that, let's say hypothetically they kept it the same way. They were doing the sorting hat at the very start of the game. If your questions weren't so, are you studious like a Ravenclaw, or are you
Yeah.
a prick like a Slytherin? It's like clearly
Yeah,
tell
right.
whichever one's.
yeah. They
And
could
in
have.
the end-
Some of the questions that are on, is it called Pottermore? Is that the actual website?
Yes, I think so.
Yeah, that's a little bit better. I don't understand why they didn't just I think you can integrate it with
If
that
you
and
have
make
that, you can apparently link the accounts, and
Yeah.
then you automatically.
Why not just use their system then, questions and things like that?
Yeah, I think that. Yeah,
You know, when we were thinking about this episode, I completely forgot that Hogwarts Legacy came out this year.
Do you know at one point so did I, and that just shows how many games have come out this year.
Well, for me, it was surprising how no one's talking about it now.
But that's because of how many games have come out
I
this
don't
year.
think so, because there's people who don't give a fuck about games and that were really engrossing themselves in the conversation around that game.
Oh, I know that, but in terms of a game, like I haven't seen this year in particular. Games are in the spotlight for a lot less time than
Yeah.
they have been in previous years.
Yeah.
Like they really don't get a long time to shine because it's right on to the next one. It's like, okay, Street Fighter 6, we're done with you. Straight on to Diablo 4. Now Diablo 4 is what we're talking about. At the moment, at time of recording, Baldur's Gate 3 is in the spotlight, but very soon it'll be something else.
Yeah, it's a pity
We'll all
too.
forget about Baldur's Gate 3. That's what sometimes, like, there's lots of content and that's great, but nothing is getting its time to like breathe.
Yeah, because there would be years, like when I was younger playing like PS2, like I would go years playing the same game.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, I'd be playing the fuck out of Snake Eater like every day for a whole year, and like yes, there'll be other games that come out that year, but I'll touch on another point. Doesn't have to be the same year.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's sort of a fast media approach nowadays, isn't there?
Yeah,
like
fuck
everything
that
is.
shit. It's a bit
quick,
weird
quick, quick,
how,
quick.
yeah, because the fact that no one's really talking about this game. In fact, people could probably say, "Oh, I'm looking forward to this," or "I'm actually enjoying this game," right? And there'd be probably no backlash now. Like,
Sure.
that's how fast that conversation's after moving.
Mm-hmm.
Will it be in the conversation for the Game Awards at all? Like any category, and what category would it be?
Yeah, well, it's gotta be at least nominated for RPG, right? It's a really good RPG.
It
It's
is.
the best RPG I've played this year. In just that category,
Yeah.
you know.
Let's see how this Sea of is that called Sea of Stars? See what that
Sea of
turns
Stars,
out like.
yeah.
Oh yeah, that looks interesting, doesn't
Yeah,
it?
it does look good.
Yeah. I went looking for. You said there was a demo, and I couldn't find one.
Yeah, it's hard to find, right? So if you go onto on the Switch, it's easy to find. I'm not sure on the Xbox, but on the PlayStation, it'll say add to wishlist, I think.
Yeah.
Right? But if you go over to the ellipsis, the three little dots, you click on them, it'll demo will show up.
Oh, cool. Okay,
Yeah.
because I want to check it out and just see what it is. But yeah, it looked interesting.
Yeah.
Actually, Octopath Traveler 2 was this year too. Like fucking hell.
I
Anyway.
still haven't got around to that.
Yeah,
That
you know what I
would
mean.
probably beat Hogwarts in an RPG category.
I would imagine so.
Yeah.
And I'm not even saying that Hogwarts Legacy should win in that category.
Just
But
be nominated.
I think it deserves a nomination there. But then maybe there's a lot more RPGs that are better that I haven't played this year.
Yeah, Final Fantasy 16, we'll get it.
Okay, well, there's one that was in. So Final Fantasy 16 was in my top 5 most anticipated games for the year.
Yeah.
It wasn't
indeed.
in either of your top 5s in the beginning of the year.
Nope.
I was super stoked for this game. Have played it, have cleared it, really enjoyed it. But as I said earlier on, Resident Evil 4 Remake is currently my favorite game this year. So obviously Final Fantasy 16 isn't my sort of game of the year contender.
For all you keeping up. Yep.
Yeah. If anyone gives a fucking shit what my favorite game this year is, like, who gives a fuck? But I suppose, okay, to talk about it in non-spoiler fashion again, and again at some point would love to do a spoiler cast because there's so many interesting things that happen in the story. I think Final Fantasy 16, it has great characters, a great story, really interesting world, and really interesting lore. A combat system that I liked but didn't love, especially when I compare to more recent Final Fantasy, a more recent Final Fantasy entry, where I feel they nailed the combat system. But I felt like Final Fantasy 16 starts really strong and personally does not stick the landing. But I wonder if that's a problem with Final Fantasy in general. I always feel like a lot of them, their setup to their story is better than how they end their story. Which is like, Brian was on our podcast before, Ryan Roberts, and like he joked that every Final Fantasy is about fighting God, you know what I mean? So like you can just guess where every Final Fantasy goes, and 9 out of 10 times you're right, you know? So in that sense, they get a bit predictable. And you kind of sometimes hope that one's going to throw you a curveball and go in a slightly different direction, but then it's like, here's the twist, and you're like, well, that's the same twist in every game. Like, that's how they all go. Like, I knew that was coming. That's not a twist. So there was like some really early twists, I think, in the game that are much better than any kind of final twists in the latter half of the game. But overall, I really enjoyed the experience. But my God, the pacing. The game has serious pacing issues.
Fuck me.
What do you think, Eric?
Fuck me, like, just get on with it. Just like, I remember us getting to the end. I was like, we're at the end. The boss is about to not actually do this, but I'm going to use Final Fantasy 7 as a reference. Meteor is coming down. We
Sure.
gotta hurry, okay? Oh, every single person in the entirety of the world wants me to do a side quest. Well, my completionist side, now
Yeah.
I have to do all these side quests.
Yeah.
While Meteor is slowly falling to the earth, it's like, this makes no sense. This should have been paced earlier so
Mm.
that maybe you're only finishing up the last few little nip pieces, like with your more personal people, not
Yeah.
some freaking blacksmith in some desert town I never gave a crap about even the first time I went there, and they're
Yeah. Yeah.
still trying to make you care. And it's like, I don't care. uh and every region was just it was annoying to traverse, I found.
Okay, I think I like the game more than you did, Eric. Just based on that, possibly. I did the entire story, all of the side quests, and all of the optional hunts.
I did too, yeah.
Yeah, because I wanted to like just experience everything and get the whole shebang. And plus, I was really interested. I was like, when is a Tonberry going to show up? I did not come across one, and I was so sure that that hunt board was going to have a Tonberry in there somewhere as the hardest hunt in the game, and I did not come across a Tonberry. I'm convinced there's one in there somewhere. There has to be, but maybe it's some hidden dungeon or something. Did you come across a Tonberry, Eric?
I think there's something that references a Tomberry as like a name of something
Right.
rather than there actually being a Tonberry creature.
Is it like a drink?
Could be.
Yeah. I thought it was a shame that there's not like mini games and stuff in Final Fantasy 16 as well. Something else that it's lacking
I
is mini games.
I just I'm like, as like when Adam's been to this place, so I can mention it. When you're going to Martha's Rest
Yeah, yeah.
in Rosaria, and you got the grassland and stuff, and I'm walking up to it and I'm like, they really think of myself at this point. I wish at this point you don't have the chocobo. And I was like, I wish I had the chocobo, just the dog, maybe some white hair, some ambered like cat eyes, and I just hunt monsters in this world. I really just kind of want to play The Witcher right now. Like, that's kind of what I was thinking as I was playing this game. I was just like, it'd almost be like that gameplay to me would have been way better in that world. And I know you didn't really like that gameplay, but
Yeah, fair, okay.
I thought that gameplay might have been a bit better.
Yeah,
thought...
I would agree there. I feel like, and I think it's probably because when I got into The Witcher, I knew it was an RPG, but it's almost like, I don't know. I was thinking of something else when I went to play that, right?
Right.
Okay.
I don't know that I think it's a little bit slow or something for what I was expecting.
Right, yeah.
But I actually think that kind of gameplay would suit Final Fantasy 16. And I'd
Right.
almost
Yeah.
nearly expect that, which is weird.
Yeah, it's weird. And I was waiting for that moment where like you get to go into an actual city bustling with people.
Mhm.
Like you can in The Witcher when you go into the big city in Novigrad, which is supposed to be like the biggest city in the north, and you get to ride around on your horse, and that's not really in it and stuff. But I liked a lot of the characters. I loved the villain. I thought the villain was so cool. There was a lot of cool set pieces and everything in it.
Yeah.
But
Eric,
then
we're
it was
talking
just
about
a
Final
case.
Fantasy 16 now.
Oh, all right.
Oh, you're still on The Witcher, huh?
No. Yeah, no. I think there's lots of cool stuff in Final Fantasy 16. It just came to pretty much when playing the game was a bit fucking boring.
Yeah. I think like there's some fucking amazing set pieces in the game, and some really great characters, and some really great like character moments. Which is again why it's like a spoiler cast is the most interesting way to talk about Final Fantasy 16, because all the cool shit is, oh, remember when that character did that? Remember when this character revealed this? Or remember when this was said about that character? What did you think it meant at that bit when the character did that? You know, that's the most interesting about the game, which is very unfortunate if you wanted like more riveting game. But then some people fucking love the gameplay, so I'm not like taking away from anyone who does. But I thought it left a little bit more to be desired, and I thought that it doesn't expand until very late in the game, and then even when it does, it doesn't expand as much as I would have liked. I would have liked more options. I felt still very limited, even when it's like, oh, now you have this entire, and I feel like you don't get enough XP to level up certain abilities as much as you would like to give you more flexibility with the abilities. Even after doing all the side quests and all of the hunts, because I kind of thought, well, if I do all that, maybe I'll be able to really be more flexible with my character. Because if you like master certain abilities, you can map them onto other icons, and therefore you could give yourself, you know, the 6 abilities that you like the most, regardless of icons. But you don't get enough XP to master that many abilities, so you can't do that. Actually, you can only do it like 2 or 3 abilities because you just don't get enough XP.
I think
Unless
I was actually able to do that.
Unless you take away all the XP from any of the abilities you're not going to use. But suddenly then all those other abilities are useless. So it's like, yeah. Anyway. that side of things. But yeah, I really enjoyed Final Fantasy 16. Up there is one of my...
really selling to Adam to try to finish this game.
No, absolutely not. I'm not trying to. I already know he's checked out, so... Like
trying to find where's the best place to sell.
So
you should play The Witcher 3.
Yeah, man. But I do love the mature tone to the story of Final Fantasy 16. I thought that was refreshing.
Edgelord.
Yeah, man.
Honestly, that'd be a great name for a Final Fantasy sword.
The Edgelord.
Yeah.
It actually would be pretty cool.
Yeah, like
it would. It'd be a funny in-joke too, because they say that about so many of the protagonists, that they're a bit of an edgelord.
And you have to find a mighty god-killing sword known as Edgelord.
Yeah, that'd be fucking great. Please add that into the Final Fantasy VII Remake trilogy. Please make a new sword called the Edgelord. I fucking love it. So, moving on to games that weren't in all of our top 5s. They were only in like 1 or 2s or whatever. Eric. And we did briefly mention it earlier. You had Jedi Survivor. Star Wars Jedi Survivor.
I did.
Myself and Eric both have a spoiler cast on that, so you can go check that out for like more in-depth details on that. But Eric, did it live up to your anticipation levels? Was it better than you anticipated, or what do you think?
Better, possibly not. But I suppose I wasn't really like, I hope for they do this and hope they do this and hope they do that. If you get what I mean? But I was just excited to get back into the world of Star Wars, because I found it it's the only thing at the moment that's keeping my like Star Wars love spark alive. Because I don't have Disney Plus, so I don't watch any of that stuff. And then there's like no other Star Wars games. Or if there is, it's like Battlefront and Battlefront 2 and stuff like that. So I did really enjoy it. I do find that there's, like in some areas with Final Fantasy 16, where it's just like, oh, you're taking a bit long here, or you're doing something that's a bit like, well, you could have went somewhere else rather than do a back and forth. But in saying that, somehow I didn't find it traversing and going around as boring.
Right.
Long and tedious, which was irritating, but there was a fast travel system, I suppose. But I didn't find it that annoying, maybe because they spice it up with some kind of parkour and using Jedi tricks and stuff like that. The customizing of the lightsaber was really nice. To actually getting to customize how Cal Kestis looks was really cool as well. So I thought there's just enough variety there then to kind of want you to progress and want you to unlock things.
Yeah.
But I quite enjoyed the game.
I agree. I think there is an interesting comparison between that and 16. There is times in the game where it feels quite laborious to play, and it's like, this is going on a bit, and the pacing isn't really working here. They could definitely leave some stuff out, and some of the side quests you're like, that wasn't as rewarding as the amount of time I put into it. However, again, the highlights I think are in the story and in the story beats and some of the big set pieces. Some of the best stuff I've played in a game this year is in Star Wars Jedi Survivor. I think while Resident Evil 4 Remake is the best game I've played this year, the best moment I've played in a game this year is probably in Star Wars Jedi Survivor.
Yeah.
And when you get to, it's terrible because it takes far too fucking long to get there, but when you get to the last 10% of the game, it's fucking amazing. I think the story gets so fucking good, and some of the acting is brilliant. But we talk about more of that in the spoiler cast. But one thing we did not mention in the spoiler cast, Eric, that it's I feel ashamed that we didn't mention it because it's actually one of the highlights of the game. Probably the best boss fight in the game. We said what was the best boss fight, and whatever boss we said, we were wrong, Eric, because it's Rick the Door Technician, who did not get a shout out when we talked about the game in spoiler cast, and Rick the Door Technician deserves more respect. One of the greatest Star Wars characters ever.
He is the bravest man,
the bravest
to ever graced the universe that is Star Wars.
Yep.
That man stood against all odds and just really left quite an impact on everyone who played that game. He touched their hearts and souls, like, you know what I mean?
I'm ashamed I didn't mention him before, because
I know.
It's the most I've laughed playing a game since Batman Arkham Origins with the Electrocutioner.
Yes, it's great.
Fucking amazing. But anyway,
Adam is now slowly copping on.
That tells you all you need to know about Rick the Door Technician. Incredible.
Did you encounter any of the technical issues?
100%.
Okay.
100%. Hence why it cannot be best game of the year for me. Too many, like the stuttering of the frames and stuff. I experienced loads of that. Couple of crashes. Yeah, loads of issues on a technical standpoint. And then even if that'll work cleanly, I still think there's like pacing issues with the game and stuff. You know, there's sections that go on far too long. However, the traversal and the exploration is so fucking fun.
You get chocobos, kind of, in it.
Kinda, yeah.
You kind of get chocobos in it.
Is this a better Final Fantasy than Final Fantasy 16?
That's a conversation for a different fucking day. Anyway, you do get a party though, in a way. You don't control them, but you do kind of get a party.
Sure.
Okay.
Well, you actually command them. You can actually tell them to do stuff, which is more than what you can do in Final Fantasy 16.
Yeah, a little bit. Interestingly enough, something that was in Adam's top 5 most anticipated, and it wasn't a game, but it was the launch of the PSVR 2.
How did that go, Adam?
How did that go? But you were more, if I remember correctly, you were more anticipating just how is it going to be received at launch, and like, will it turn any heads or anything? So,
it seems like it shat the bed, and no one gives a fuck about the platform. It's probably going to die. Can't see Sony actually fully supporting the thing.
Right.
Which is really unfortunate, because Sony's always put out really great accessory or companion consoles, be it handheld or even the accessories that plug into the console over the years. And they spend so much time, or they don't spend any time. They just rely heavily on third-party companies to sell this thing for them. It was too expensive to begin with. The games that launched with it, look, I just don't think Horizon is a title that you kind of go, oh, I want to be in that world, you know. I think the actual Horizon games are immersive enough as it is.
Right, I get what you're saying.
That I don't need to be like tactile, because that's a lesser experience. I'm not going to be as fast as Aloy, you know. The movement's not going to be the same. It's the same as like the Spiderman VR experience. That really wasn't as good as it sounded, because you know the Spider-Man game that's better. Whereas games like you know, if you're in the cockpit of an X-wing, that's way more immersive than actually being on the outside and flying one.
Yes, yeah. I get you.
The horror games work really, really well. I know Resident Evil 8 came with it, but you know, these things, there's too much competition now in the VR space. I just think it's in the wrong pricing, and it's really unfortunate because they didn't even really hype it or advertise it, or like the very first VR that blew up and it was impossible to get. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I seen
sadness.
someone actually. It was actually today. I saw the post where someone was talking about the PSVR 2. Pretty much just quickly saying that it cost too much. There was no games, and now look at it just collecting dust because he had a picture of it, and it was little specks of dust, but still dust nonetheless. And just
I'm
then
glad
he said there was.
you took notice of that.
Thank you. I do try. I think he said it was like $549 or something like that, or
Yeah, it was more expensive than the console, but now it matches the console in price. Yeah,
It's still too expensive because it's an
that's far too
accessory.
expensive. Yeah.
it's a whole nother PlayStation.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Okay, so if you have a PlayStation and you have enough to get the PSVR 2 or an Xbox Series X, buy the Xbox Series X.
Yeah.
Why-
I mean, if you're wanting to get into the VR space, the Quest,
Yeah.
Quest
Well,
is
that's the thing. There's
cheaper, works without having to plug into anything. And if you really wanted to, like if you had, like down the road, if you wanted to build a PC, it can plug into the PC to play higher fidelity games.
yeah.
Nice.
So I wasn't really. Well, I certainly wasn't excited for the PSVR 2 because I just didn't think they were excited for it.
Yeah, it's just really it's so unfortunate.
That's a shame, right? Because if the creators aren't standing behind it, and then maybe they were excited for it, but they certainly didn't fucking show it. So the language around it wasn't very exciting. It sort of felt like, oh, there's an obligation to release a second one, but nobody cares.
Or they've come so far and they might as well release it.
Might as well release it, but like, yeah, it feels like like James Gunn is going to be manning the DC movies going forward. But there was a couple of movies too late into production, like Blue Beetle. We still got to release it, but like, who cares? Like, there doesn't seem to be a lot of care behind even marketing it. And it's like, well, there it is. Just go see it if you want, but if not, that's okay because we're moving on to the next thing anyway.
Yeah, it almost feels a bit like
Kind of feels like that.
there were some companies that were like this in the 90s and stuff like that. Which is, it's like as if the VR is one person's baby in Sony, and the head of PlayStation really fucking hates that guy.
Fuck you, Dave.
And wants to prove that his product will fail.
Listen, Dave, no one cares about VR.
And it's just like, okay, let's put it out just so I can teach him a lesson. That's almost how it looks.
Yeah, we'll put it on the fridge where everyone can see.
Yeah, and it's just weird. Like, why would you have a company with products under the PlayStation name and not fully back them or integrate them?
Yeah.
Just don't do it. It hurts your brand then.
Well, of all the games that people could be anticipating in this year, 2023, and all the incredible, huge titles releasing this year, I mean, I gotta know. I mean, I was surprised at the time, but I'm actually shocked when I went back and because I'd forgotten about it completely. Warhammer Space Marine 2 was in Eric's top 5 most anticipated games for 2023.
Fuck yeah.
Has that come out, or does anyone? I have no idea.
Haven't
Not out yet. Not out yet.
Oh, that's still to come. Eric, are you still anticipating that game, or was that just at the time, or what's the story?
You know what? It was at the time, but you reminded me. I'm like, fuck yeah. Bring it on.
Yeah, my anticipation has just raised again.
Yeah. Me and Adam,
lose
we've
sleep
gotten back
over
into 40k. We've been learning the 10th
true.
edition rules. So
Yeah.
fucking let's play some Ultramarines, slicing some Tyranids. Why not?
Yeah.
Oh my god, hold on. I just looked it up, and it just says the release date has been announced as winter 2023. There's no hard release date for that game yet.
There's my there's Christmas present right there.
It could be the big Christmas game.
Yeah, might be absolutely fantastic.
It could be unreal.
I never could get into the first one, but yeah,
it's got co-op. I think it's got 3-player co-op. Just putting it out there.
Let's make it happen.
3-player co-op.
I think it has 3-player co-op.
Fuck yeah.
That's weird.
So I think it's got that.
It's now in my most anticipated.
There's nothing quite as Christmassy, right, as delivering the gifts of the God Emperor to the Xenos and the Heretic and slice them up with some chainsaws and bolter blasters.
So that was fucking beautiful. That should be on a poster.
Yeah.
Yeah, white writing on a black background, you know? Kind of, you know that T-shirt you see where it's like Han and Luke and Chewbacca and, you know, where it's just plain white writing on a black background? That, what you just said, everything you just said should be that.
From the start of this episode?
Definitely.
I hope it has the same, like a similar enough level of just ridiculousness of as Bolt Gun. Like, that shit's
I've heard that's unreal.
It's unbelievable. It's so
yeah,
good. It shouldn't be as good as it is, actually.
Well, another game that was slated to come out this year that hasn't got a release date, as far as I know, was in your top 5, Adam. Replaced.
I don't know what the fuck happened with that, or where it is, or what's happening with it.
Yeah, I think the developers had difficulty because I could be wrong. I think it was originally being developed in Ukraine, and I think that was obviously a big part of the, you know, the delayed development on that game. It's weird though, because when you look it up, and obviously look at it, if that's the case, who knows when this game is going to come out, and, you know, take your time. But if you look it up, it still says initial release date 2022.
Yeah,
but it isn't out, so
that's that side-scrolling kind of like neo-noir cyberpunk style thing, isn't it?
Yeah. Now it's it's set to release in 2023, but there's no word of a release date yet. But man, the second that game comes out, I'm definitely jumping into it.
Well,
it looked amazing.
You know, regardless of the reasoning behind it being delayed, it's never a great sign, and it's never a good sign for the game. So
no, I know, yeah.
It does make me a little bit worried about the product now. Yeah, hopefully it is good, but yeah, it's hard to know like what's happening with it.
Yeah, of course. I think it's to come to Game Pass anyway. So
yeah, but I mean,
you know,
it's just another one of those long line of games I was excited for on the Xbox that could just join the pile.
Like a long list of games to play.
No, not long list of games to play. Long list of games that were completely disappointing to come first to Game Pass.
Right. We're looking at you, Redfall.
Like, yeah, they were fucking. If they had to put as much effort into actually fucking making games as they did into selling that console, man, what a machine that would be.
There you go. Still might happen. A little too late, maybe, but they might still pick up the pace.
We're all really hoping that Starfield delivers, man.
Yeah, look, I hope Starfield's good. It wasn't in my top 5 of the year, but it is a game that I'm keeping an eye out for. I'm interested in it for sure. But one game that was in my top 5 that is still to come this year, and I think it's the last game to talk about, is Spider-Man 2. Insomniac sequel, which at the start of the year there was no release date, there was nothing actually except for just that initial reveal trailer and the title. That's all we had, and that it was going to come this year. But I was like, yeah, on that alone, I can't fucking wait. We have since had a trailer. There was a trailer shown at San Diego. Well, there was a big gameplay presentation at the PlayStation Showcase, and it was like one of the only things worth talking about from that PlayStation Showcase. Apart from obviously the Metal Gear Solid comeback. And then at San Diego Comic-Con, there was a story trailer, which possibly tells you a little too much, unless they're being misleading with what they're showing, because I feel like they kind of revealed who Venom is in the game. But I can't fucking wait for this game. I think this one is this could be a contender. This might top Ori 4 as the best game of the year, depending on if they stick the landing with like the story and stuff like that, and if the gameplay is as fun and as riveting or even more fun than it has been in the previous Spider-Man games. But there's a real possibility it could.
I still don't think I can get used to new Peter.
That bit is why it won't beat Resident Evil 4 Remake. You've just reminded me, Adam. Resident Evil 4 Remake is better. No, yeah, that is hard to come to grips with, but luckily he wears a mask most of the time. Right?
Yeah.
And then when you're
Except for
controlling
the
him, you see the back of his head. So it's just going to be weird in a couple of those cutscenes where you're like, what was wrong with? There was nothing wrong with his face.
No, there wasn't, because he was like his original face was like, yeah, he's a good-looking guy, but he's not like Chris Hemsworth good-looking or something like that. You know, it's like just your average run-of-the-mill guy. This one now is just like all of his features have just been squashed into the center of his head, and it's really weird.
Yeah, but I have to say, I'm loving the from what we've heard so far, the voice work of you. What's his name again?
Yuri Lowenthal.
Yeah, his voice work with the symbiote on him is brilliant.
Well, apparently he's studied like the effects of addiction and everything like that, so that he could match the voice work for it.
Well, it sounds very like as well. He's obviously taken inspiration. It reminds me of when Troy Baker was taking inspiration from Batman the Animated Series in terms of doing Two-Face.
Right.
He was just trying to like homage the animated series Two-Face voice actor, and I don't know who that is. Like this sounds very like the 90s Spider-Man.
So are we going to get that
Does it?
infamous? Are we going to get that infamous scene in the church with Shocker?
Shocker!
I'll chase you to the end of the world, Shocker.
I fucking hope so. No, I mean I don't think we will. No.
No. Yes, absolutely. We need to bring that in.
One thing I want to ask then: Do you think at some point you'll play as Miles and you will fight Peter?
Yes.
Probably. I don't know. I don't care actually.
I think it would be cool, but okay.
Yeah, I don't know if I like. Yeah, I still that'll be alright, wouldn't it?
I think it'd be super cool. I'd be stoked for that.
Yeah, I don't know. It might be just a little bit too obvious. If they did the other way around, that'd be less obvious.
Ooh, yeah, but then I'd feel like Abby
and Ellie
fighting Ellie in The Last of Us Part 2, and I'd be like, why are you making me do this?
But I don't expect to.
I'd be
kill
like,
the guy or anything.
I know, but I'd be like, I'm rooting for them. Why am I? Why?
You know, actually,
them to win.
While we're on this and talking about what would be something that's slightly unexpected, is your Mary Jane trying to hide from symbiote Spider-Man.
Ooh,
as a horror section.
Oh, that'd be kind of cool. Yeah,
or hiding from Venom.
Yeah,
because like it is coming around Halloween.
Because everyone's favorite parts of that first Spider-Man game was playing as Mary Jane.
I was just about to say, I was really hoping there wouldn't be any moments with Mary Jane.
Well, they could improve upon it.
They could improve. I actually
by removing it.
No, I would actually like it. I don't hate the Mary Jane sections in the first game. I'm one of those people. I quite like the break it gives you from as much as I love the swinging. From all the fun.
Man, I'm fucking hating all this crack I'm having. I wish it would throw me a curveball here and make it boring.
Crack means fun for people who don't know Irish slang.
To me, those sections are like the motorbike section in Final Fantasy VII or OG. You know, it's like, I don't want the whole game to be like this, but it's a nice little change of pace for a moment, you know? And then I go back to what I'm used to, you know? That's all. I in any game, I enjoy when they stop what they were doing and put something different in. Doesn't always mean I prefer that bit. It's just I think it's good for pacing. No one agrees with me.
No, I don't. I don't understand why any developer just thinks that would be fun.
Right.
I didn't mind this. I thought of.
Hey, okay. I got one on my. But to be fair, I've heard the opinion that Adam has is
the popular
that
thing. Yeah.
Everyone pretty much shares on.
Man, it'd be like. Never mind. I was going to bring up MGS2, but sure, that kind of does the thing anyway. But anyway, no. Like, even in MGS2, right?
There you go. There you go.
If they made you play as Emma.
Yeah.
In that sequence.
Well, I don't know if that would be worse than playing as someone who's being hindered by Emma. You know what I mean?
That's
like,
also shit.
it's like
That's also
at least
shit.
if I was controlling Emma, maybe I'd make her move a bit faster. You know?
Yeah. I quicken the
But-
pace.
Yeah, like
Quicken the pace.
as horrible as that scene with Ashley and Ori 4 remake is, because you're just on edge.
Yeah,
It's much better to do that scene with just Ashley rather than having Leon and Ashley as well.
Oh yeah. No, out of all
Yeah, there you go,
the
actually,
things
yeah.
that did that, I think the remake did that section better than the original.
Yeah,
Because in the original, that's
definitely.
just so fucking just annoying.
definitely, 100%.
It's not even scary. It's just like, this is just, I don't want to play as Ashley. I just want to play as Leon. Thank you.
Well, anyway, look at if I would Insomniac, you do you, whatever you want. I would think it'd be cool what Eric just described if Mary Jane is terrifyingly being stalked by the symbiote at some point, and you're experiencing that through the eyes of someone who cannot fight it. I think that would be cool. I think that would be a nice, scary moment to show what it's like for a regular person to be on the run from something like the symbiote. I think that would be mwah. But it's okay if you don't do it. That's okay. Love to hear from other people what you guys think. Just before we finish then, or as we finish up, are there any other games for the rest of the year that you guys are anticipating or that are on your radar that you just want to shout out before we finish up?
Baldur's Gate 3.
Oh yeah, so that's come onto your radar now, Eric.
That's now come onto my radar ever since I heard the reviews. There's two different people I know who are playing it at the moment. They've both give it high praise, and I think it's coming to PS5 in September. And that also has co-op.
Cool. Nice.
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 Couch co-op. So that's nice.
That's nice.
Nice.
Nice. Anything on your... anything else, Eric, or just that?
Just that. Well, Spider-Man 2, I suppose.
Fuck Spider-Man 2. Fuck Spider-Man 2.
Spider-Man 2, I suppose. Yeah, it's fine, I suppose. Play Mary Jane, I guess.
Yeah. Anything on your radar, Adam, for the rest of the year?
I'll definitely dip into Starfield. Check that out. See what that's like. Don't know. Well, it all depends on whether it hooks me or not. But I'm not like I am going to play all of that game. It's just, you know, it'll be there, and if I like it, I like it. But I am looking forward to trying it out. I think the trailer or the showcase for that was really intriguing. Spider-Man 2 is, yeah, obviously. Like, I didn't even put that in my top 5 because that's just like a given, you know what I mean?
I get you, yeah. I'm buying it, right?
Yeah, it's
Usually-
happening. I
That's why it would be in the top 5, though.
no. It's
Yeah, that makes no sense to me.
it's
That
above
means, like, the other ones, you're like, yeah, I'm not sure about them, but I...
Yeah, 7
it was.
Remake. I don't know.
7 Rebirth.
Yeah, I
You
wasn't
know,
sure
like,
whether it was
yeah.
coming out this year. Turns out.
Ori 4 Remake, you were like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll see.
Yeah.
For me, for the rest of the year, other than what we've mentioned, I want to jump into Starfield as well. Curious just to see what it's like when it comes out. Alan Wake 2, keeping an eye out for that. I thought that looks really impressive, and that they've taken that series in a totally different direction, but also that feels like a good, like a right direction if you're gonna kind of reinvigorate that series. If you're going to do a sequel to a game that hasn't had any entries for a long time, it's not just a sequel. It's also if we're going to turn this into a franchise, we need to reboot it slightly. So that looks really, really interesting, and the graphics look amazing. And I'm also anticipating, but in a similar way to the way you were, Adam, with the PSVR 2, and I keep watching all of the trailers. Mortal Kombat 1. I'm not necessarily planning on getting it, but I just want to see, like, how it fares when it launches. Curious about the story, and really curious as well what other modes are in it that they haven't yet told us about. Because I know there's going to be a lot more modes than they've revealed, and they seem to be keeping some things close.
Would you
to
say
the
they're
chest.
gonna release another trailer that's just gonna make us instantly go, well, I'm gonna pre-order the special edition with the big statue?
They might. They're very good at marketing.
Very good marketing,
and the trailers have been
all the
cool.
trailers been very good.
And some of the characters have been pretty surprising, where it's like, that's pretty cool. Particularly, I think, in that last trailer that you shared, Eric, where I think it's called The Banished, and I was like, That's pretty sick if you're an MK Deception fan. That I never expected to see that character ever again.
There's two
So-
from Deception that are in that trailer.
2 from Deception that are back in MK1 now, yeah.
Yeah.
And they're not just cameos, they're playable characters.
Mm-hmm.
So that's pretty sick.
What were you
But-
saying, Adam? You were talking about statue?
No, just actually my most anticipated game for the year is Metal Gear Solid Volume 1.
Oh, yeah,
Oh,
yeah, of course. Yeah, sorry, yeah.
Well, we don't put that on the list because that's a
given.
Yeah.
That was
You don't
given.
even have to mention that.
Yeah.
That's a day one purchase. Yeah, of course, the remastered collection of 1, 2, and 3. Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Very, very. I hope it's not like the way the Grand Theft Auto remasters ended up being. I hope that.
No. I hope they are perfect, that they get highly praised, and it just spawns a whole new wave of fans of MGS, old school. Yeah. But now we'd love to hear from you guys. What are you guys most anticipated for the rest of the year? What games have you played so far this year? And what games have you enjoyed? If you want to share any thoughts on the games that we brought up, this has been our 2023 in review so far. Obviously, a topic we will be revisiting at the very end of the year, where we will be talking about not only our personal favorite game of the year, which maybe we've already mentioned, but it could be something else that comes in the rest of the year, or as well as I should say, we always like to recap at the end of the year our favorite like movie of the year and show of the year and that kind of stuff as well. We'd love to hear from you guys anyway on everything we talked about in this week's episode. So if you're watching YouTube, jump down in the comments to share your thoughts. If you enjoyed this discussion, why not give us a thumbs up, hit subscribe, ring that notification bell for all future content. And to those of you who are listening to us on audio platforms, you can also touch base on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and Twixter at The Brothers Take to give your take on 2023 in gaming so far and beyond. Thank you very much for checking us out this week, guys. We'll be back to talk to you guys next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.